I thought I'd play this little video here. Hello, everyone. My name is Nate. Nate Heegaard. I am one of the co-founders of Nouveau Energy, and today we're going to talk about how to use solar generators at festivals and events. We have two amazing speakers that have a lot of experience in the industry, Louie Michot and Neel Vasavada. I will introduce them and go into their bios a little bit here. But just to give you some background of that video here, that is my brother, Will Heegaard, who's also a co-founder of Nouveau Energy. Loves this video because that right here is one of our products. It's called, it's a tent. It's for the sun canopy, and there's PV, so solar panels on the top there on the canvas, and it is powering the point of sales VIP tent at the Arizona Roots Festival. You can see the stage there. This is also one of our trailers down on the bottom right here. You can see my brother there, and that was powering the bathroom trailer for the VIP station, and that had lights it's providing power to the bathroom trailer. So thank you all for joining. Really excited to talk about this growing industry and these products that are coming out by the day. Nouveau Energy has been developing products now for the last 5 years, if you take into account the previous entities that were involved. And so I'm just going to share a little bit about what Nouveau Energy does, and then we'll go on to the speakers and get to the actual important content. Why? Nouveau Energy, our goal is to replace fossil fuel generators, so that's gas and diesel, with mobile solar solutions. We want to make clean energy available to anyone, anywhere. We specialize and really focus on mobile and portable, rapidly deployable solar and battery solutions. And the how is we replace portable gas generators where the grid does not exist or is down, or where we don't want to use them anymore. They're loud and dirty. Our markets are disaster response. That photo was actually taken a couple days ago. I'm in New Orleans right now. A tornado touched down last week. We deployed one of Nouveau Energy's sun kits. It's the cube right there. We had the panels on the side there, and that was powering an aid distribution site here in New Orleans. We do telecoms, construction. You can see the power pack there. That's one of our products. It's charging batteries. We were building out a solar trailer as part of a community build, and then festivals and events, of course. This is a list of a lot of our partners. Footprint Project is our strategic nonprofit partner. They do climate disaster response with solar. And we have been working with Footprint Project for a long time. I actually divide my time and work part-time with Footprint Project. My brother runs Footprint Project, Will Heegaard, and we learn a lot from being out in the field and deploying these systems and disasters. I want to just quickly review what is a solar generator. A lot of people hear it as we transition more into this field and clean energy becomes more ubiquitous, but a lot of people don't know what it is. So a solar generator is it collects energy from the sun, from solar panels. It stores that energy in batteries, which is the storage, and then it converts that stored energy into usable power. And that's what the inverter does. It converts the DC electricity into AC electricity, which is what we use every day that comes out of the outlets in your house. So again, the three main components of a solar generator are the solar panels, which are often referred to as PV, which stands for photovoltaic. the batteries, which is the storage. We use lithium. The industry used to use lead acid, which is in your cars, but now we're really transitioning into lithium batteries. There's for lots of different reasons. There's lots of benefits. And then the inverter. Again, that's like the engine of a generator, and that inverts the DC into AC electricity. There are lots of different types of solar generators. These are just a few, and these are taken from the Footprint Project training slides. We developed a whole curriculum on the nonprofit side. So as you can see down there, there's a reference to that. But you'll see there's trailers with large PV arrays that are mounted on the top. There's smaller units, suitcase size. And then what we're really excited about too is a product lines like the sun canopy, where you set up a tent and you have the panels on top. So there's lots of different types of solar generators. Okay, guest speakers today: Louie, Michot, the Lost Bayou Ramblers. I'll just introduce you here, Louie. Louie is a Grammy Award-winning musician in the Cajun punk music scene. For the past 20 years, he has led a band called the Lost Bayou Ramblers with his brother Andre. He plays the fiddle, and he's an amazing musician. I've heard him many times now. He also runs his own label, Nouveau Electric Records, and he is just an amazing person in Louisiana here. The community he's built around him and his passion for music is just incredible. And so he started using solar generators. Louie, I'll let you talk more about that. But we connected with him when we came down to respond after Hurricane Ida. And ever since September, become a close friend. And we are working on a lot of different projects together in regards to solar energy systems, and bringing them, putting them out in the community. He's a driving force in the music scene as a musician himself. So, and then Neel, I'll introduce you after, but Neel Vasavada is the co-founder of Overdrive Energy Solutions. His experience in the music and production and film industries, has a lot of experience, and really excited to talk to him as well. So we'll start with some questions from Louie. Louie, when did you first? Well, hello, Louie. Thank you for being a part of the webinar here. We have lots to learn from you, and really excited to learn from your experiences here and share. That's what this is all about. So, when did you first start to power your concerts on solar energy, and what drove you to make the change off gas and diesel generators? Maybe tell us a little bit about your first few experiences using solar at your live events and concerts.
Thanks, Nate. Honestly, it started after I met y'all, after I met Footprint Project and New Use, because it was always something I dreamed about doing, and it was something I'd kind of worked towards doing in certain respects. But it wasn't until I met y'all, which of course came out of the necessity of post-Hurricane Ida, when y'all came in to help with the immediate recovery. We were out there. I'll just tell a little backstory about how we ended up meeting through a friend of ours, a mutual friend, Bob O'Hare, who has been working in solar for many years from around New Orleans and has been working nationally. With Lost Bayou Ramblers, we've been playing, like you said, for over 20 years. And of course, in the last 2 years, it's been very interesting with the pandemic and such, kind of making us stop and go and cancel tours. We, in fact, just finished a tour that was canceled 2 years ago, a few weeks ago, and then followed by a wedding for a close friend that was postponed 2 years. So y'all know how that goes. But during the Delta variant, we were laid out again and didn't work for a few months. Then we finally had one show in Denver. Bob O'Hare, I think, was there actually, and we flew back from Denver straight to get home for Hurricane Ida in case it impacted our area, more around Lafayette, Louisiana. And it didn't end up hitting us at all, but it ended up really devastating Southeast Louisiana. Terrebonne and Lafourche parishes got it just really hard. One of my close friends and a DJ on WWOZ, AJ Rodrigue, I was in touch with him and a few other people in Golden Meadow and Homa, and they were getting it just really hard. And so he finally went out after the storm passed. Said, yeah, it took part of my roof, but I'm all right. And then I said, man, you know what? We're gonna come patch your roof, because he had just had heart surgery and such. And we're like, so it started there, and it turned into a much bigger operation, just in terms that we started a overnight fundraiser on social media and ended up raising tens of thousands of dollars, which we just stuck right back into the community in the form of 2x4s and tarps and food. But one of the things that really struck us was the amount of gas and generators that were requested. It was like, that was the big thing, was we have no power, we need a generator, but there's no gas. You have to drive 2 hours and to wait in line for 2 hours just to get a few gallons of gas. So we were bringing that from as far as we could. We had trucks and trailers hauling equipment back and forth. Like I said, all, tarps, and we were bringing food and fresh water. But when it came to like how much gas it took to get gas down there for the generators, it really kind of blew my mind. And then getting generators, and we all know how that goes. It's like you use it for a few weeks, and then probably next time the hurricane hits, it won't work. So I was speaking with a friend of mine, Monique Verdun, who is from, she's a Pointe-aux-Chenes, part of the Pointe-aux-Chenes tribe, and has been through many hurricanes in many parishes, including from Pensacola to New Orleans to Pointe-aux-Chenes and St. Bernard Parish. And she said, look, I'm tired of going through this same song and dance. We need solar power. We need sustainable solutions. And Bob had just hooked me up with Footprint Project with Will and Nate and Jamie. And so I called them, and they brought one of their solar generators. And it was an amazing amazing to see that so readily available, because I've been into solar for a long time, but what's always, I think, been hard about accessing for normal people is the amount of the learning curve that's there, and the amount of different pieces you have to bring together to make a solar PV battery system work, and that's where we kind of met. I said, look, I have the studio I'm in right now that I finally got working during the pandemic. This is an old houseboat that a friend of mine had bought to make a he was going to make a solar powered steamboat studio out of it, but he ended up upgrading because this one wouldn't quite cut it. If I'm on land, but if the water ever rises, we can just float away. But as you see, I have a gutter in here because it has some internal leaks and such, so it wasn't really fit for what he was doing. But I've repurposed it, and he had bought a solar system for it with an inverter and battery and solar. But it's, to get all those pieces together with the right knowledge and the right people, which is what I had asked Footprint, can y'all help me to get this rolling? Well, they said, we have a much easier solution for you. It's called a solar generator. And you don't have to it's all packaged, it's all together. And here it is, charge it up and use it. You have solar panels, right? Let's charge it up and use it. And I wanted to make a, solar powered Mardi Gras trailer that we could roll around, as you see on the screen. That's it, a trailer like we played for Mardi Gras for many years, where you usually have a generator in the back of the truck, doing its thing, doing its job fine, but possibly running out of gas, making fumes, it's loud. You know how it goes. You need the power to amplify the music, but that's what you had to deal with. So Footprint and New Use turned me onto the solar generator, and they came and powered the first version of, the first time I'd ever been able to realize the dream of having solar, quiet, renewable power on a bandstand. And that is the solar roller that you can see the pictures of here. Music Box Village and New Orleans Airlift helped me weld the frame. I brought it home, put the roof on, and then we all met during the hurricane recovery in Montague for a session that was actually sponsored by the Red Bean crew and Speed the Second Line. And Footprint showed up bright and early in the morning to help us get the stage together. And they brought the sun kit, which you can see right there in the middle picture, to power it. And that was my first time just this last, was that September, of being able to power a concert by solar energy. And we'll talk a little bit more that we extended that into future festivals and performances. And I've been using the solar generator on my gigs now regularly. In fact, the wedding that we played in New Orleans, the power there was buzzing through the system. So I said, oh, let's pull out the solar generator. We pulled it out, plugged everything into it, and we had a clean signal. There's so many benefits to using solar generators, not alone just trying to, power something that is away from the grid, or if you don't have power, but even the actual quality of the sound is improved. So we can talk about more. I'll let you move on, but it's just since September of 2021, it's begun to be a significant part of my regular performance set. And I've learned a lot, and we can talk about that more, but there's plenty more to learn, and it's been an ongoing experience, process, and almost an experiment its own to see what works best in what situations.
Thanks, Louie. Yeah. Well, I was going to say too that your passion for sustainability, you've had that your whole life, and you put solar panels on your house. That's residential solar, but really the mobile and portable solar, like you said, you're new to that. So that kind of leads into the second question, is how do you see the music and concert industry changing as mobile and portable solar clean energy systems becomes more ubiquitous and more people start learning about it? And there's that whole education point, like you mentioned earlier. A lot of people just don't know what it is, what it does, what it can do. They know what a gas diesel generator is. They hear them. They're everywhere. They're, especially when it comes to the event industry. And you hear that buzzing sound. And it's dirty. If you go up to it, it's usually behind a tent or behind a trailer. And those things are running all the time. So how do you see the industry changing?
Well, I think first off, I think it could be one of the best ways to spread awareness about renewable energy, because I think everyone knows a little bit about it, and that it's something that we need to have more prevalent in general in our energy needs, because that is the one thing that keeps our lifestyles going, is energy and electricity. And in the music world is, I think even more so. I think a lot of people, because they're already of that mindset, well, I'm into music, I'm into, nature or not, or I'm just into partying, or I'm into, so many things. I think that it really lends itself to music, first off. Second off, on a practical level, like you said, I mean, so many festivals need solutions to be able to power stages and power remote locations. And that's always the thing, is, where are you going to stick the generator? Where are you going to run the wires? Where's a power box? And twice this last weekend, I ran into situations where there was a power box. They had to run the power thing. The electrician didn't exactly have it together, no time. It was late with the stage and such. And we ended up having to use, I had to port up the solar generator right on standby. And it wasn't even expected to be a situation, but it was. And then the next night as well, there was a buzz in the system, because it was an old building from the 1850s in the Marigny in New Orleans, and the power had grounding issues and such. So, for multiple practical reasons, it's such a great alternative. And what I was kind of saying about my first point about it being kind of a no-brainer in the music sense, I think that people, they want to know, and they want to be able to experience it seems so far off for so many people, like, oh yeah, solar power. It's something that has been part of the discussion for many, many decades, but has never gotten the proper platform and education. And it's still, of course, an evolving technology that continues to get better and more efficient, more applicable for daily use. But festivals that are able to present the idea of, look, this is a solar powered stage. This is
There's that
us
marketing
putting into
aspect of it.
practice. Yeah, because so many festivals, they want to promote sustainability, and they want to promote, even if they have a big sponsor that is a petrochemical sponsor, so to say, in one of the biggest festivals, in the biggest festival in Louisiana, you know, even they have been trying to promote sustainable, that they're going sustainable. And of course, it all comes down to the bottom dollar, and it always doesn't always work out like that we hoped it would. You know, like before the oil spill of 2010, every BP gas station was supposed to have solar, and what happened with that, I don't know. But you know, and major companies want to promote this. Well, it's something that can now be promoted, easily accessed. It's not, you don't have to, you know, reinvent the wheel. Companies like Footprint and New Use are here to make it, and many others probably that I'm not aware of because it's new to me as well, but that are there to make it a tangible reality. And when people walk up to a stage and they see, wow, it's powered by the sun, you know, this is right here a model of sustainable energy, renewable energy in practice. I think it really gives people a lot more hope, in the sense of, oh wow, it's tangible, it's doable, it's right here. It's not something we have to wait for in the future. It's something we need right now, and it's something we can use right now. I've had a few festivals approach me just in the last few weeks about bringing this solar roller or another solar stage powered by one of y'all's trailers and such. Everyone wants to do it, and I think it's finally getting to the part where it's doable, it's economically feasible, energetically. You know, you don't have to hire a whole branch of your festival to figure it out. You know, you can bring it in relatively easily and affordably, and it's has so many benefits. You know, it makes me want to throw a festival out in the middle of nowhere just to do it now, because that's where people want to be. That's where they want to be. They want to get away from the day to day. They want to hear some amazing music. They want to be out of their element. And, you know, you don't want to have to bring all the noisy, smelly, loud infrastructure with you. If you can, if you could do it silently, it's like, that's the whole point of getting away and experiencing music and experiencing the environment.
Well, love hearing that. Sorry, I'm trying to go back a slide because I was just here.
Back to the question.
Yeah, I was just, in terms of the equipment, maybe you could just talk a little bit about you know, what this stage is. You can see on the left there's a photo of us building it out. The panels are on top there, the PV, the solar panels, and then you can see there's another photo, that photo in the middle right here is one of New Use Energy's products called the Sun Kit, that has a 2 kilowatt generator inside with, I believe that one had a 5 kilowatt hour, around a 5 kilowatt hour battery bank. And then the panels are of course on top charging it. Maybe you can just talk a little bit about how, you know, how that worked, what the building process was, and again, you know, the sound. You were saying there's no noise. If you had a generator on that trailer, it'd be noisy.
Yeah, there's it's, the final product is amazing, because I've played many a Mardi Gras, different trail rides, events with generators, and you know, it's always a thing. It's like, as soon as you stop playing, the song quits. You just hear, you know,
Yeah,
crank it back up. So the beautiful thing about this rig, so for one, I started with the Mardi Gras model, which is when we play Mardi Gras, different towns, like they'll have a prefabbed house roof unit that's welded, that fits a 16-foot flatbed trailer, you know, the standard 16-foot trailer. and you just push it onto the trailer. You put the generator in the back of the truck and you roll. Well, we've even built giant boxes to house the generator to try to reduce the noise and push the fumes as high as possible. And it's still just it helped a little bit, but it was so easy to turn this into a solar generated stage. The structure didn't change at all. All I had to do was when I spaced the purlins, which is the 1x6 wooden units that run long ways underneath the roof, which the roof screws onto. I made sure and spaced them at greater width, but where the attaches for the solar panels themselves would attach. So the Easy Z clips that y'all brought made it super easy, even with a short ladder, even with the ladder that wasn't even tall enough that we had to use on the spot. We were still able to attach the solar panels plenty sturdy. And I've traveled on that thing up and down I-10 multiple times everywhere. Down.
Yeah.
Never had an issue with the solar panels. I've checked them, made sure, and they're fine. I was worried about that. We ended up with 2 on each side, and that produces, I believe, 1 kilowatt, right, of charging power.
Well, and with with the flexible panels now, they're lighter out. These are traditional glass panels that I believe were donated, but with flexible panels, the opportunities are endless. They're light. They're they're not as efficient, but they're getting there. Well, that's amazing. Thank you, Louie. Well,
I was going to say that the sun kit that y'all originally provided for the first run of Montague, of course, was amazing. It's a large solar generator that had no problem handling the load, but I wanted something more portable. And we first tried the New Use Power Pack 2200, right, which has a 1500 watt inverter. And it worked very well, except sometimes when if we added up all the calculations of the wattage of my PA, which happened to be class D, which is very efficient, which is good, we still have tube amps and all the power that was required to push all this sound out. We tripped it a few times at 1500 watts, but it came right back on. So we moved up to a Power Pack
6200.
Is it 6200 battery, which had the 2000 watt power inverter. And it has pretty much almost never clipped. We've clipped it a few times, but like I said, it was only for a few seconds and it came right back. So we're still learning what we can power with what. And this is I brought the 6200 with me. It's it's over 100 pounds, but it's not hard to move in general. It's a big Pelican case, super portable. I mean, I had it out, I loaded it by myself because I didn't have to lift it. But I had 2 people to lift it up and down. But
it's on wheels, there's a handle. They're getting more portable for sure.
Yeah. I powered the entire stage with it twice this weekend. A full 5-piece band, a full PA, monitors, 2 amps, even lights in some cases, which which isn't a huge draw. The only problem I found, like I said, is when everyone starts to play really loud, it pushes everything to its limit, and the spikes of the audio signals, I think, is the only thing that has tripped the inverter. So actually, I'm waiting on what they call a compressor or a limiter that I've added to my sound system that's going to hold the spikes of the music. So like we use it in musical terms where it's like if someone screams in a mic, or if like you really hit something hard, you don't want it to just jump out the system and overpower everything else. So it limits things once they hit a certain decibel or gain level. So this will have 2 effects. It'll help our sound to keep everything squished to a certain level, and it'll also, I think that it'll help us not to trip the inverter. And so I'm really excited to see how that works. But like I said, it's been a work in progress and a learning curve. So
and we learn as
it's
we
really
go.
Worked amazingly to date.
Well, and we learn as we go. And Neel, thank you, Louie. That was great. And you're, we're all really excited to continue to learn from you and work with you as as we produce these products and we get them out in the field. Neel has an engineering background. Neel Vasavada, you're still on, hopefully. I can see you there. All right, let me just introduce you quickly. Neel is the founder and president of Overdrive Energy Solutions. He's a driving force in the movement to bring green technology to the events industry. He has an engineering background with experience in both sustainable energy and live entertainment, which is what drove him to found Overdrive Energy Solutions. In 2003, he founded Apex Speed Technology, a provider of control systems and engineering consulting for prototypes, research and development, and motorsports vehicle projects. You've done everything, Neel. He has also led business development for capital equipment suppliers and tech companies in the live events industry since 2012. He led EPS America, one of North America's fastest growing production equipment suppliers over the last decade. He is a go-to guy and very excited to talk with him and learn from his experiences. I also have some photos, Neel, that I'd love for you to describe like Louie did when I had those up, especially the one on the right. I know there's a great story with that one, but welcome. Thank you for being on here. And the first question we have for you is just tell us a little bit about your experience with sustainable energy and battery technology in the event and festival industry.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Nate. And, I'm really bad at following the rules and scripts and stuff. So I will answer your question in a moment.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just interrupt you. I'm sorry. At the end, we're going to try to leave some time for questions. So we'll leave 5 to 10 minutes. Please enter them in the chat if you have any, and we'll read them off and try to answer those. Sorry, Neel, but go ahead.
Before I get to these questions on the slide, I wanted to say a few things about what Louie said.
Yeah, absolutely.
First of all, for Louie and for you, Nate, your brother Will, and everyone at Footprint Project, I am very glad to be a part of this and be in a virtual room full of people in New Orleans, in Louisiana, the city that's very dear to my heart. I have been doing events and working there since the 90s. My friends know I have traveled all over the world for 20 years. I spent 200 days a year on the road. And I tell people that Snake and Jake's Bar and Grill, Snake and Jake's Christmas Bar and Grill, which is out Carrollton and St. Charles behind Tulane, is one of my favorite spots in the entire world. Anyway, with that, there's a couple things that Louie said that I want to start with here. Sustainability is of paramount importance. Climate change is a real factor, but like it or not, it doesn't appeal to everybody. And the thing that really has opened my mind in using these systems is they're not just sustainable. They are a better generator. They're actually a better power source in so many ways for so many applications than traditional diesel and gasoline generators. So we can set aside the sustainability argument for a second and talk about how solar generators are having sort of a Tesla moment. Before the Teslas came about, electric vehicles were a hobbyist thing, an early adopter thing. What Tesla did in the eyes of many people is make a better car. What solar generator systems have done is made a better power source. And this is something that shouldn't be ignored. Just like you're not going to use a Tesla Model 3 to tow a boat across Alaska, you don't use a solar generator system, for a use case that doesn't fit it. But there are so many use cases where it's just a better way to power your show, better way to power something, a festival or a music event. Really, we're having a moment. I also wanted to comment on Louie's experience with the PowerPack 6200. I think that is an amazing product. And, Louie mentioned that they still managed to get it clipping a little bit. That's actually in a way, a a characteristic of what an amazing product it is. Because if you think about the capacity of that thing, every box is like a 15 amp breaker. So if you have all of your stuff plugged into that box, and building standards here in the US, your regular, what we call Edison plug, the plugs that are in your house, those circuits are limited to 15 amps. You would have blown the breaker in a home, in a building, powering it through that same plug. So when you actually end up clipping a power pack 6200, you're pushing it harder than you could push a building, harder than you could push the power in your house. That just shows you how amazing these things are. They have a surge rating that's incomparable to gasoline or diesel generators. A dirty little secret is when you get a gasoline or diesel generator, you actually have to run it quite a bit lower than the stated capacity if you're running things like things that have motors, also like sound equipment and stuff like that, because there's a big inrush current. The current spikes when you turn it on, and then it comes down. These units, these battery generators, these solar generators work very differently. They have, typically they have like a 1.8x surge rating for a minute. So imagine a house where you can run past the circuit breaker for 60 seconds. It is absolutely amazing in the sense that when you exceed the current rating, you don't lose everything, got to get up, find the circuit breaker panel and reset it. So there's so many ways where it's much better than a regular generator. So let me talk about my experience with the sustainable energy battery technology in the event festival industry.
Well, I love that technical, I just wanted to say these things are really important, even though a lot of people don't understand what that means. It comes down to the technical details.
It's just a better generator. That's all you got to know. It's a better generator than the gasoline generator. If you're running your show, and by the way, a lot of these smaller gas generators, the runtime of the units that we're talking about is the same as a full tank of gas in those things, right? So if you're running a show you're not going to refuel the gas tank in your generator, well, it actually makes more sense. It's a better show, and it can be powered by renewable energy. So let me talk a little bit about my experience in the sustainable energy battery technology field and live events. One odd thing that we've found since founding Overdrive Energy Solutions is that there have been battery systems, solar systems tried in our industry several times that have just kind of fallen to the wayside in history. New Kids on the Block toured with a system sponsored by Greenpeace in the 90s. Radiohead toured with a system in Europe 10 years ago. And now Coldplay is putting together a solar trailer generator system. But, in the live entertainment industry, there's always been a push to do these big things. I should say at the top of the market, there's always been this push to these big things. And what's been missed is how well these units do in all sorts of other spaces at a festival or on a tour. You see, they're not just generators, they enable distributed power. So one reason we haven't heard a lot of them is because they've been tried in these spaces. People want to make it very visible and everything, but they don't really fit that use case. On the other hand, when you're looking at small sets like what Lou's doing, or you look around a festival grounds and you see things like experiential marketing, sponsored tents, food and beverage, all of these other power users, all these power consumers on there, you realize that most of them can be powered by the sustainable battery generator solar sources. And now you don't have generators running in the middle of your field. So one of my favorite pictures, which gets trotted out in a lot of presentations, the one on the right here. I'm sure if you guys can't tell what that is, it is a balloon light. And those really, the biggest ones are 150 watts. I bet that one's around 50 to 75 watts. on top of a 5,000 watt generator. So a little technical detail, gas generators are the most inefficient at light loads. So we have this thing running 1/10 to 1/15 the capacity of a generator to run a single light in the middle of a crowd. You know, what does that say for sustainability, safety, or anything else when a power pack that's actually smaller than that, weighs less than that, maybe about the same as that, could run that light for 30 hours straight? So, you know, there are so many opportunities in the large concert festival world to bring the sustainable energy products, to bring things that help us, with the climate change situation we have right now, and make our productions easier. Another thing, and it'd be interesting to hear the Lou and the musicians' perspective on this, is the ability to add more flexibility to your production. So think about this for a second. You know, right now, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's talk about a stadium show, right? You've got this massive stadium show, you got 100,000 people, you got this big floor, and you think to yourself, well, a battery solar generator to run that stage would be absurd. And the diesel you would use to tow it around the country, that doesn't make any sense. That's not the only stage there. Most of these stadium shows have a B stage, you know, where the band's going to go to a smaller stage in the middle of the crowd, or there's there's a thrust, there's a catwalk or something like that, where they're going to play a 15-minute set, you know, an acoustic set, a solo, something like that. And right now in that big show design, you have to lay, 2-watt cable, hundreds of feet. You have to have cable management, cable trays. It causes an accessibility issue, you know, for people in wheelchairs and things like that, or just production workers pushing carts. We could run that B stage with a battery system charged by solar, add a sustainable element to the biggest shows on earth, and actually make it easier for production. And then, on top of all of that, we talk about, the clean power, the sound quality. There's just so many opportunities, even in the big markets. Now, the picture on the left I want to bring up is our first event with a battery solar generator system. That is a 14.5K lumen professional projector and a pair of 2000 watt JBL SRX 800 series, I think it is, speakers. This is all,
right here,
pro concert level stuff. We ran a 3.5-hour set off of a sun kit there. And
on the dolly, right?
It's right there. Yeah. It's at front of house. Could you put a generator at front of house in any show? One of our head of engineering at Overdrive, Jay Kavanaugh, he made a really interesting comment. When we were testing this thing, we had it going full tilt boogie, pushing 2,000 watts out, and he said, "Could you imagine having a conversation standing next to this thing? No, you can't, because we wouldn't be able to hear each other, and we'd be wearing gas masks if it was a gasoline generator. But there you are, completely silent, completely clean. Doesn't care if we're at 1,800 watts, 2,000 watts, or 500 watts. It operates the same, and it adds so much flexibility to your show, to your festival. Again, it's just a better way of doing things. And then the last
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say one more thing. Let's talk about cost, because everyone's going to say, well, what about the cost, right? How many moving parts are there in a battery system like that? How many moving parts are there in a solar generator? Well, if it's on a trailer, it's the wheels. Other than that, there's nothing. These things use LFP, lithium iron phosphate batteries. They're rated for 5,000 to 8,000 full discharge cycles. So we're talking about an asset, if you're talking from a business standpoint, that will last 10, 15, 20 years and will perform just as well throughout that whole thing. How many, let me be clear too, that's if you used it every day. How many generators could you use every single day and not expect to have any repairs.
Well, the
Forgetting
gas
about
costs and,
maintenance costs,
refilling the gas,
fuel
yeah.
costs, all of this. So it's just a win-win-win, and it's the only thing out there is learning the applications where it makes sense. I don't think any show of the style that Lou's doing, anything that you see, on small stages, even things like the kids stage at Lollapalooza, which is a smaller stage line, SL100 mobile stage, something like that, should ever be done with a generator again. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Neel. No, that's great, and you made some great points. I wanted to follow up on one of them, and you said it earlier, where you could never have a gas or diesel generator running, right where that sun kit is right now. Just wouldn't have, it'd be loud, it'd be noisy, it'd be dirty, and that's just, that's a huge benefit to these clean energy systems, these solar systems with batteries. They don't make any noise, and as the industry progresses, the power, output capability, and the energy, the storage component is just going to get better and better. So thank you very much. We have some product slides that I'm going to briefly just go over, and then I know we have about 9 minutes for questions. So please put your questions in the chat if you have any, and we will try to answer them. As you can see, Nouveau Energy has 3 main lines: the sun kits, which we've talked about, the sun base, which are the trailers, and then the sun canopy, which are the solar shelters with the PV on the canvas that can act like a tent, and then the portable power packs, which you've heard. These are suitcase size, anywhere from briefcase size, which is our smaller one on the top left there, and then all the way up to the 6,200, and that's the battery capacity, so that's 6,200 watt hours. And they have handles. They're really nice. You can roll them around on wheels. And then we have a range of panel solutions that we call the quad fold and the P that allow you to fold up the panels and carry them, put them in the back of the truck, put them in your van. So really, Nouveau Energy is really focused on making these things portable and mobile. That top right picture is during a camping trip, so it's powering lights and computers, and if you don't really want to bring a computer on a camping trip, but have to do work in the startup in startups all the time, so good to have some power there. And there's just some more photos of the sun kit, the quad fold, and the trailers there. We make a range of trailers with different battery capacity and PV. The way the solar panels fold out. That bottom right one is our newest trailer. Bottom right, actually the 3 photos there on the bottom left, the bottom right, and the top right. And then there's some photos of the sun canopy. You can see how they can fold up and put them right back of the truck there, in a range of different sizes. So yeah, let's go to some questions here, if we have any. See, there was some in the chat there. In addition to Nate's question on living in climate, how do you imagine this? This is a question from Catherine. How do you imagine the sustainable tech integrates into the numerous festivals that are sponsored by oil and gas industry? Louie, you touched on that a little bit. These festivals and concerts that are sponsored by the oil and gas industries, what is your experience, in dealing with that when trying to get solar in? And I guess, this could also be a question for Neel. And are they receptive to solar at these events that are sponsored by the oil and gas industries?
My experience, I've only been approached at this. I've only been in this world with y'all just for a few months, And already, just since we threw the Louisiana Sunshine Festival in late November, where we had 2 stages powered by solar, we did it completely by ourselves. We didn't even have the sponsorship much of solar companies, much less oil and gas companies. And we was offered, but we just said, well, we're just trying to do it simple with footprint, new use, and Feed the Second Line was mainly who was running it, and they wanted to start a fresh start. So I've only been approached by smaller festivals that would obviously be into it, who are not funded by large oil and gas companies. I would think though that if it was part of the production, because it's not the oil and gas companies themselves who are throwing the festival, they're just throwing the money at it. And the production companies themselves, the festival organizations, are the ones who could easily access the solar technology. And I would think it would be a win-win for everybody, of course, because even the big oil and gas are going that direction. Everyone's going that direction because we know that it's the best option we have in dealing with climate change and our own futures, and continuing our qualities of life with the proper energy and in reduced carbon emissions and such. So I think it'll definitely be a no-brainer, and it'll only be time before more and more things go in this direction. Of course, everyone knows how it goes, dealing with that in the politics, but I think that is quickly becoming a side thought in my limited experience.
I want to
Neel, do you
add
have any?
something to that. Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I've supplied
We got about
production.
2 minutes. Sorry.
I've supplied production equipment to most of the top 10 by attendance festivals in North America. And I can't remember any of those that were directly sponsored by oil and gas companies, but more so, they're trying to rebrand themselves as energy companies. So I don't think that they're threatened by this at this level. And in fact, there's a play for them to be involved and included. But Lou made a good point. Production is sort of the issue right now. What happens is the artist shows up at the festival, and these people, myself included, the guys in black, our job is to make sure that house lights go down at a certain time and the artist's on stage and it's happening, and that has to happen, period. And we're going to make that happen no matter what. And this becomes this really feeds inertia. You don't try something new, they don't realize the benefits. And honestly, a lot of this has to come from the artists. It's people like Louie who's going to put in their writers that we need sustainable energy. We're not going to play Lollapalooza if it's powered by oil and gas. We're not going to play Jazz Fest, if all of 100% of the energy is by oil and gas. And I know it's tough for musicians because you guys want to play and you want that platform. But at the end of the day, production, the people who bring in the power, they're going to do what's safest and easiest for them, because their job, unfortunately, is not sustainability. Their job is to make sure that show happens. So we have to apply pressure from other places to make that happen, whether it's regulatory, and we all know how that goes, the politics and everything, or like I said, the performers, the musicians, the product that they're selling are those musicians, are those artists. We need to make sure that those artists know there's an option for cleaner power. And I so much commend Louie for doing this, for stepping out. And Louie, I hope you tell everybody you meet that, hey, you know what? You don't have to play on this stuff.
Love it. Well, that is a great way to end. We have about a minute left. I saw one question about the flexible panels from Jason. I could just answer that quickly. There is a difference. They're not as efficient and they're more expensive, but there are huge benefits, and those downsides are changing. They are becoming more efficient, and over time they're getting less expensive. The benefits, if you can spend the money on them, outweigh the challenges in dealing with the downsides. Just so they're lightweight, which is a huge part of it. The shipping costs are less. You can pack a whole pallet full of them. If you're going to a concert or a festival, you can load a whole pallet. And then like you saw in that other photo, you can throw them in the back of a pickup truck or in the back of a van and then lay them out and they fold out. So if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to follow up. This is the second webinar of the New Use Energy webinar series. If you have any questions about products, excuse me, please, you can email the sales@newuseenergy.com or Google us. We have a new website that's up. So you can contact us on there. There's a contact form. So there's multiple ways to get a hold of us. And please, please, please go check it out and feel free to ask any questions you might have. We will answer them as soon as we can. If you're interested in products for festivals or events, please reach out to that email. I check it regularly, as do some other team members. And then the last thing I would just mention, New Use Energy is in the middle of a crowd raise on Start Engine. We're raising money for equity in the company on one of these new platforms. Start Engine is a premier platform. We launched that about a month and a half ago. So you can own shares in New Use for as little as $250. So that is on the website as well, or if you just go to Start Engine and type in New Use Energy. Thank you so much, everyone. Louie, Neel, you guys were amazing.